we're going to fly into it because we only have so much time. So we met through Insta. I make it out like we met in a dating site. We connected through online, and I've been following your stuff now for quite a while, and it's very, very interesting. I really like the content you put up. I really like what you do. But before we get into all that, give me, because I actually don't know this. I have no idea. What's your background? I know I'm a terrible interview host. Give me the background before. I suppose you started your current business.
Yeah. So I'm Irish from Wexford originally, and I'm over in England at the moment. So I worked in bars and pubs in Wexford and Dublin for 7 years, from teens up all through uni. Finished up at the Gasworks in Dublin on Grand Canal Dock, which I don't think is called the Gasworks anymore, by the Aviva. And then 2013, I came to England to get a quote unquote real job, which was in consumer packaged goods with Johnson & Johnson. So big multinational, Johnson's Baby, Listerine, Nicorette. And that's where I met my wife, Franky. So she runs Packed House with me. So it's important she's part of the story. Yeah. She went off to work for Innocent Drinks, so mecca of branding, culture, people. And then I went to work for scaling startups in CPG, so 1 to 10 people teams, £1 to £3 million. And I led the sales team there, selling into the big supermarkets. So I've got the hospitality background. Yeah. We've both seen the thinking that goes into big businesses and big brands. Franky's done the culture, brand, customers, and then I've got in to see the nuts and bolts of what actually works and what it takes to grow a business from the ground up. So it's a pretty solid mix.
So what was Franky doing in Innocent? What exactly was her role?
So she was part of the brand strategy and innovation team. So all focused on customers, research and innovation pipelines. And she actually, full circle, ended up being the marketing director for Innocent in Ireland for the year before she actually left. Okay. Before she went on maternity leave. So she did, I can't think of his name, that famous gardener in Ireland. She built a living wall in Dublin, was one of her big things.
I know the guy you're on about, yeah. Okay.
Dermot Gavin is his name.
Dermot Gavin,
yeah. Wow. Yeah. So that came full circle.
Okay, no, okay, I get it now. It's a very interesting
mix.
Background, and a mix, but like you can see how all the boxes are ticked in terms of what you want to do now.
Yeah, so, and it's interesting, like the similarities between consumer goods and restaurants and hospitality. There's much more similarities than people would think, and especially between supermarkets and hospitality businesses, because they're all based around buyer psychology and how you get people to buy, and really how you get people to spend more money realistically is the crux of how you have that business. So there's a lot of similarities that go into that thinking that is a little bit different than what people, I think, who've spent 25 years in hospitality probably don't see the link.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I'm fascinated. I don't know nothing about it. I think I watched a documentary on Netflix about it before, but like on the supermarket psychology, and all the different, like it's insane the amount of thinking behind it. So actually I find that quite interesting that you're saying that there's a lot of that thought process can be translated across the restaurant.
100%.
And I've heard some of your stuff that you put out there, and it is, they almost seem like basic, old fashioned, some of them like, tips and tricks that you put up online, but like they're so, like they're not maybe what you might hear a lot of the gurus going about, Google ads and this and that, but you can imagine how.
The thing is, like what we do is help people run businesses, and how you run a business is usually with the tried and tested methods. It's not following every fad and trend that comes up necessarily. It's what works, what's true, and how do you build that foundation of your business.
Deadly. So let's get into that. So Packed House, so talk to me then. Why did you decide then to go from maybe a separate industry, the two of you slightly different, and then you start, what was the thought process behind starting that?
So we had a restaurant and a cafe where we live that we love going to, and for all the world they were unbelievably successful, full up, queues of people, passionate people, like the place you want to go for an independent like meal. It's everything that you wanted. And then both of them closed down within a week of each other, just after COVID, and just after kind of things opened back up from COVID. And we were just annoyed at what for ones, but then fascinated as to like how this successful business could end up closing down. So we had a chat with the owners, and it became very apparent very quickly that they were passion projects and there wasn't really any basic business foundation to it. They're like, it wasn't being run as a business, it was being run as a passion project. And so like the very basic fundamentals of knowing your GP, your costs, being able to budget, knowing what your spend per head was, none of that stuff was done. It was all based on basically money was coming in, it was going out just as quick. And with very basic business practices, like the hardest thing to do is create demand and generate demand and get the money in. And like with very basic business practices, they would have been super successful. And so we went just knocking on doors around town because we couldn't quite believe that that was a thing. And so we went knocking on doors and just kind of asked people, like, we've heard this. How are you running your place? Is it a similar thing? And like overwhelmingly, people were like, yeah, I've started this because it was a passion project, but it's kind of, I've underestimated the business side of things, how complex it is, and it's kind of got a bit out of control for those people. And like hospitality is a hard business if you've got everything in place, but when you've got no structure because you're busy and you don't have the time to put that structure in place, then it becomes pretty impossible. So we're all about just trying to help independent hospitality owners build businesses, not passion projects. So that's all about bringing more money in, spending less, and then having a clear direction on what they want to achieve from the business.
Deadly. And so can we get into the micro on that a little bit more? Let's say, you know, I have my own coffee shop, bakery, whatever, and I reach out to you, I see your stuff online, I reach out to you and say, look, Colm, I have a small coffee shop and it's you know, it's going okay, it's going well, but I'm struggling to maybe make, at the end of the day, that, you know, there's not a huge amount of money in it for me and it's a headache, etc. How does that relationship work? What you know, you take it from there. How will that work?
I mean, that's exactly what most people come to us with. So like owners are typically in the space of, I know I've got something good here, I just can't figure out why it's not making money. Like it should be making money, but it's not. And so it's just myself and Franky in the business, but we run a 3-month profit pathway project with people. And that's all based around taking owners from guessing and being unclear about what's driving their profit to where they're more confident in that stuff. They're actually making more profit and they're able to make more informed decisions for the business. And I mean, we've essentially become a business partner. I hate that because it's an overused phrase, but we basically become a partner for 3 months and try and simplify things as much as possible from the business side of things. So like very simply, one of the best ways to grow your business is how do you get people spending more at a higher profit than you're currently doing now? And that profit all starts with your GP, your gross profit after food and drink costs. So the more you have at a gross profit level, like if your gross profit is this much or if it's this much, that then dictates how much space you've got for all the other costs to fit in. And so that's where we start. So start by building out a profit Bible at that GP level. So detailed onto what each of your menu items cost, what GP it does, and then a full sales analysis around what sells, what doesn't sell, and like what actually makes you money. And that is probably the most eye-opening thing that we do for people, because when we run our own businesses, things get a little bit out of control and we lose sight maybe of, or we all have our own biases for, I like that dish, or I think people like that dish, but outsiders coming in and looking at it is like, well, it doesn't make you money and it's not that popular. So like everything's got to earn its place on your menu. Like I can pretty much guarantee you that 99% of restaurants have too many items on their menu. And so it comes down to like looking at the data and using the data and having that information. And you then get to a place where you can design a menu that's based around what actually sells, what's profitable, and gets people spending more. And it's really powerful stuff. Like one client we did it with, their spend per head grew by 29% in the month after putting a new menu in place. Wow. And that was at a 79% GP. So like, you're not just selling more stuff, you know that you're selling more profitable stuff. And like, that's why we start there, because it's that top of the P&L. Like the more room you can create there, the better it is. And then we'll look at the rest of it. So your staffing costs, your other costs, your fixed, your variable, what are you spending money on? And one of the biggest things that we bring to that is, because we see so many P&Ls, we understand what people of similar sizes to you are managing to achieve. So you might think, I've got a 30 cover cafe, I can only run at a 50% staff cost because that's how I've done it. But we've seen 3 examples of people doing that at a 35% staff cost. So what can we bring from them that you could put in? And a lot of it is around breaking people's beliefs on what's possible. Because if you don't know what other people are doing, you don't know that it's possible. And so it's hard to like put the work in and try. But a lot of what we give people is the reassurance that like, if you work at this, you can improve it because other people are doing it. So yeah, that's over 3 months. And really, like, probably the best analogy is like working with you to get your business fit. Like if you're going to go to the gym, it's eat less, move more. Get your business fit. It's bring more money in, spend less. Like it's at that simple, and it's going well. Like we've had a client in the past week where we've just run some numbers, and in the 18 months to June this year, they broke even or made a profit 4 times in those 18 months. Wow. We came on board in June and they've made a profit twice in the past 2 months. So they'd never made a profit consecutively. Yeah. And that's all like looking at it as simple as possible. And that's why we did that's why we did it, was like, because it's real people putting their heart and soul into something, like to be able to help them get rewarded for it is massive for us, rather than sitting behind the computer with like selling faceless products in a supermarket.
Yeah. Colm, I could talk to you all day, genuinely, and we could go down a rabbit hole, I've no doubt. Let me finish up on three ones, and we'll keep it to this. One bit of advice to budding hospitality owner, like someone that's starting a new restaurant tomorrow, what one bit of advice would you give them? Yeah,
focus, because you're not just making food, you're running a business, and the biggest killer of businesses is complexity. So you want to be in a place where you're at this intersection of what people want, what your competitors aren't doing, and what you're good at. And if you find that bit in the middle where you can put them all together, then focus, keep things simple, have a small menu, a small team, and grow from there, because complexity will kill you. And any business, but especially hospitality.
Deadly. One hospitality business, even globally, nationally, whatever, that you most admire or most respect?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a fanboy of the Devonshire in Soho. I'm sure you've seen it on TikTok. Strip away all that TikTok fame, and we managed to get a walk in for lunch there the other day, and just, it's almost like the hospitality Avengers set up their own space. Those 3 guys, and like, by God, did they do a good job. But it's just obviously 99.9% of people aren't as skilled as those guys, and that they're a dream team. But the lessons I take from it are the attention to detail, the focus on quality, the focus on the experience. Like, they've taken a place that was a Jamie's Italian for 8 years, and refurbed it to make it feel like a pub that's been there for 100 years. Like, from day one. It really, like, it doesn't feel manufactured. It doesn't feel like one of these American Irish pubs. It feels like a pub that's been there forever, and it feels really timeless. So strip away all the TikTok fame and fads, and it's like a real lesson in hospitality.
What would your ultimate ambition or your dream in the next couple of years for the business? Where would you like to be at?
I mean, we've set up this business to, like, we've got a young family, so we want to help people and still have our family. So we want to help as many people as we can while still keeping our work-life balance in check. So we don't have these ambitions where these social media marketers of we're going to scale to 100 grand a month. It's not that. It's help as many people as we can. And we're currently helping people that have businesses already. But ideally, what we'd like to get to in the next year or so will be to take that and set up something that helps people who are starting out on their hospitality journey. Because hospitality brings a lot of people who either don't have hospitality experience or don't have business experience. And how can we help? And there's nothing out there for them. Like, if you Google how to set up a hospitality business, you'll get some articles from point of sale terminals that want to sell you their point of sale terminal. They're not actually give you any information about what it's really like and what are the important things to get right. Then you get a ChatGPT answer. So something there will be something that we'd like to get going.
Deadly. Colm, thanks a million, sir. I think we ran way over the 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Yeah, I'm sorry. I talk too much.
No,
Franky gives out to me.
I loved it, my man. Look, thanks a million.
Cheers,
Appreciate it.
bud.
And we'll have to connect at some point in real life, you know?
Yeah. When you're over in London, give me a shout. I'm only half an hour outside. So.
Nice, man. Thanks, Colm. Chat to you.
Have a good one.